a little early too, so I won't be here for this thing.
That's okay. We only have 40 minutes because for some reason it's impossible to get me a better account. Apparently it's easy, but the person who's in charge of doing it won't give it to me. So I don't know. So sorry. So you survived. You're all alive. This week we have reviews to do of your fellows. And in Eli, I set it up so there should be lots of directions. Like you're filling out a Likert scale, like on 1 to 4. There's like directions for how you should be responding to them. And so you just follow the steps in Eli and you should be fine for that. You also have your digital storytelling thing. So how is that going?
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you started on them?
Yeah.
Barely.
I know that one took me a long time. I hate editing video. I hate editing audio too. For the record. So I don't know what else to say about that. Do you have questions about any of the stuff that's coming? Do you need pep talks? What's happening?
I'm still trying to recover from last week, to be honest.
I know, that's why I didn't want to do office hours yesterday, because I figured everybody would be like, I can't even move. I'm so tired. I stayed up till midnight. That was how it was, huh?
Yeah. I was flying back from New York and I couldn't find Wi-Fi while I was there to turn in my RDP. So like I'm at 38,000 feet, like bugging on the go-go just so I could get it in.
That's so sad.
I know.
Did you at least like watch something on Netflix while you paid for it? That's what I would have done. I would have paid for it and then watched something on Netflix. That's not what you did. You're a good guy.
I had to finish my things in the piazza.
On the piazza. Yeah, I have feedback. I just have to put it in D2L for you guys. So, yeah, that's coming too, hopefully tonight. And I think that's it. This week should be a little lighter. You have fewer questions in Piazza this week. So that'll be nice. And you have your digital storytelling and then your peer reviews. So it's a lot lighter than it was last week. So you can kind of breathe a little bit. And then next week it gets hard again.
So I have a question about the questions for this week. There's one that has, it says optional, but it has a question attached to it. So
yeah, I think it could have been just because at one point it wasn't optional and now it is optional. So you don't have to respond to that question if you don't want to.
I clicked on it and it redirected to nowhere. So that's
it did?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That's what I was supposed to take the links off. That's why. So I'll just remove those right now. I know some of them I had like extra questions and then I was trying, I don't know. So I'll just fix that right now. So other questions.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, good. With the RDP,
Yeah.
can we rely on their sort of statement of the research that they've done, or do we need to go back to the original source of the research?
Oh my God, do not go back to the original source of the research. You can rely on it. But just so you know, as you get better at this, what will happen is that you'll be able to once you build your expertise, you'll know off sort of the top of your head, like, hey, they missed a huge chunk of research. So if you know that, you can say, like, you might want to consider this other thread of research. Or you might end up commenting on something like, okay, I see this thread of research and I'm understanding your synopsis of it, but I'm not seeing how that fully connects to your research questions. That might be another way that maybe sometimes the connection isn't clear. But you do not need to assess whether the synopsis and reference to that particular article or chapter is correct.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Other questions? I feel bad, you guys. You really beat up, huh?
Yes.
I wish I could hug you and tell you it's going to be okay.
But it's not. It's going to be like this for the next 5 years.
No, you can't say. It's totally not.
So I have another question in relation to the RDP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that there's a lot of different variations of the same thing, but I'm not really sure if they're talking about the same thing.
Okay, I don't know what you mean.
I'm trying to say it without giving away which one my
okay.
my draft proposal is. For example, they may refer to this sort of idea with this phrase of words, and then someone else may use a slightly different phrase of words, but I'm thinking they're talking about the same thing, but they may not be.
Okay, so that's why people have to define that's why you have to define it even if it's been defined before.
Yeah.
So that's part of that conceptual frame thing. Too, you need to define the really important terms because people use terms interchangeably or they're similar. And so you really want to make sure those definitions are strong. And so that will be another place where you want to pay close attention. And it's often a problem for almost all of us because we know what we mean and we're so used to using the terms that sometimes we forget to define them. And so it's important to make sure that you're,
Well, I guess my real question is, if I'm referencing that work, how do I know if I'm really supporting what I think I'm supporting, or if I'm just really, they're talking about something completely different, but yet I'm referencing it to support what I'm trying to talk about?
I think that this might be such a specific issue that you're discussing, Brad, that you might want to set up a individual time we can go through it together.
Okay.
Because I'm just not really understanding.
Okay.
And those kind of things can be kind of specific sometimes. So it depends on the area. It might just make more sense for us to meet.
Okay.
Matt, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I would say specifically you can meet with Andrea, but hey, I still don't know when someone says they talk about motivation and what they mean. So this is a problem you're going to have forever.
Yep.
That people don't mean the same thing by words, and you're never quite sure when I refer to someone's work when they talk about motivation if they mean the same thing that I mean when I say motivation. It's always going to be a problem.
Can you determine that by looking at the framework at which they reference?
You try to, but there's always a danger that someone would say that's not what I meant at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I see people doing that with my work all the time too, and I can say it's their fault by not reading it carefully, or I can say it's my fault for not explaining myself very well. But you just do the best that you can, and it's a game you'll play for the rest of your life of trying to interpret other people and what they mean. You just do the best that you can.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean you can't get some specific help about trying to understand what someone else means, and Andrea can help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, to emphasize, you really want to make sure that as you're reviewing too, that you're making sure that those definitions are happening for the people for whom you're reviewing, right? Because it tends to be one of the weakest areas, and just having TA'd for this class in the past, it's also something that students reviewing might miss too. So I just want to emphasize it, that you're looking for that specifically. And one of the questions in Eli points you to that as well. Any other questions? I don't even have a joke for you guys today. I forgot. I feel really bad now. I'm like looking around, do I even have a joke book nearby?
We're all so disappointed.
That was the only thing that got us through last week, was knowing that there was something on Tuesday.
My horrible cannibal joke. I love that joke. It's my favorite joke of all time. Yeah. I feel like you guys might be a little bit okay this week, though. Are you feeling any sense of optimism about this week? I just want to emphasize
optimism is a strong word.
Their spirits are crushed, Matt. You crushed them last week.
Sorry.
I have a question. Are Andrea, Matt, and Carrie going to look at the RDP at some juncture, or is it all up to us?
Yeah, we were going to make you like write all the stuff. We were never going to look at it. Of course we're going to look at it. What kind of monsters do you think we are?
The fact that I never see Carrie around makes me very skittish.
Oh, that's partially my fault. I haven't been telling him fast enough when the office hours are going to happen, and he always has meetings scheduled. So I have scheduled them out. They're going to be Mondays at 1 and Thursdays at 9 for the rest of the semester, just to make a note. And I'm going to send a note about this to everybody too. Even though I was trying to move them around to capture different people's windows. So that's why I've been alternating between Mondays and Tuesdays to try and get those 2 windows. But yeah, this way that we can make sure Carrie makes it.
You did your article critique 3, so
yeah, you have definitely heard from him then, right?
You're looking at your work.
You should definitely harass him about it next time he shows up, though. You're like, where's my joke, man?
Tell me he owes you 7 jokes.
Oh. Yeah, so the way that it goes, I don't know if you've looked ahead in the RDP process, but you guys are doing reviews of each other this week, and then you're going to sort of, for your own selves, make a revision plan in Eli as well. And then you turn in the final on your website. And so then at that point, it's going to be looked at by Matt and Carrie. But we haven't really figured out yet, Matt, right, about how the video is working in with that too, right?
The video is a separate thing, and you're doing it.
That's what I thought, but then in an email I thought I saw that there needed to be discussion about it, so I was just making sure. I could be wrong.
That wasn't my understanding, but then again, I wasn't reading real carefully.
Okay, so I'm 99% sure.
I'm not having a good week either, so,
99% sure it's me on your videos.
So I have a question really quick about the, so looking ahead to next week, it says RDP, revise, and resubmit. That's just, we don't have anything technically due. That's just us working on this revision next week? Okay. I know we have other things like an article critique due next week, but I just wanted to make sure like that it wasn't clear.
Yeah,
for sure.
If you look at the RDP like steps in there, there's number 6. So you're going to put both a final copy and a Word doc on your online portfolio. And you have to respond to your reviewers. That's part of your revision plan.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you'll see that'll pop up in Eli for you. And that one should come earlier because the step that so I know it didn't pop up in Eli till this morning, but the response to reviewers should come a little earlier because you're already sort of assigned to groups and stuff. So I'll make sure that that's sort of ready to go. Like the second you have your reviews in, it should pop up. So I'll double check that. Make a note to myself. But that one comes a little bit faster, so you can maybe work ahead on that. But yeah, you have to do some stuff in Eli to respond to your reviewers. But you'll be revising what you wrote for step 4. And then it's what is going to be graded as your final thing. So your peers are not looking at it after you respond to them, but part of this assignment is to mimic what happens when you submit to a journal. And so you get to, when you revise and resubmit, you get to respond to the reviewer's comments. And so we're just giving you practice with that process. And it's also a really nice way to solidify for yourself how you're going about your revisions. So it's a nice metacognitive step. It's also a very practical step because it's something you'll be doing as you continue. And yeah, I think those are the main 2 reasons, unless Matt wants to add anything.
I do not.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
So I have a question. I'm looking at Eli right now, and so it says overview, and it just it says when evaluating the research problem, and it talks about don't confusing, but it seemed like that's just one chunk of what is on the peer review on the website.
Right. So everything that's on the Eli, the overview is pulled from the course website. And then in order to help move things more specifically, to sort of help you with some more specific feedback, there's those additional questions there too to help focus your review. Did you have questions about one of them?
I might have to email you later to talk about it.
Okay.
Just to get clarification.
Okay, sure. So where it says to evaluate the research problem, you might comment on the clarity of the definitions, which we talked about already. They might have included their logic model here, hopefully, because we worked hard on those. The important factors or concepts that were not included by the author is another place that you might comment. And then the alignment between those definitions and their research questions. That's you don't have to mention all those things in the bullets. You may mention one of those things. It really depends on what they've done. And so those are just some sort of ideas to get you thinking. And then we have the other Likert scales below. And then there's some other 1 through 9 questions even farther you might also, you can choose however you think it works best for you to respond to them. You can choose how to do that. So these are sort of in general guidelines, and nobody's going to be looking like, did you comment on all these bullet points and all this 1 through 9 in the contextual comments and in the final comments. So it's really, these are ideas of where to look to help guide your thinking. But certainly please contact me if you have a specific question.
I think it's just, when you go there and it looks at, like, you click on overview, and in the box, it just talks about research problem.
Right.
And then when I click on, like, the people that I've been assigned, that's when it gets into more
of the
detail.
detail.
And I think right. you just clarified that for me then.
Yeah. I never know if I should put it how much I should put in the overview. So I just sort of took the introduction off of the website and stuck it in the overview so you wouldn't have to keep going back and forth. But, you know, any suggestions of how to set it up better, I'm willing to take. So I was trying to make it as easy as possible. But yeah, if you have any issues with Eli or like where to click or whatever, just let me know. I'm just taking notes for our summary later.
So it looks like it will allow, I haven't actually done it yet,
Yeah.
but it looks like we can just put notes on if it's a Word document. Like I see your little helpful tip. We can just add comments.
Yeah.
To Word and then upload it and they'll be able to see what we wrote.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. So, you know, just let them know if that's what you did, if that's where the majority of your comments are, just like somewhere in the Eli dialogues, just sort of alert them to that idea. Any other questions? I like how close Will is doing to his camera. That's very menacing.
I've been making faces the whole time, seeing if anybody picks up on it.
Yeah, I was just not gonna mention it.
Conversation within a conversation.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if it, like, in my group, my first summer, we would just get on the video chat and work. And so it would feel like we were in the same room. So you wouldn't feel so lonely when you're working. But some of you Google chat me, which I love. Like, I'll get little pop-ups. So you can always do that if you see that I'm online, because I'm always working late after the kids go to bed. So. I'm hugging you in my mind. You guys, I feel so bad.
I did laugh at the check-in question this week, though.
Yeah.
I must not be a piece of coal because pressure makes me a raging bitch.
Oh gosh, that's awesome. Oh. Yeah. Pressure makes me look like I need to brush my hair more often. Like my hair just gets like bigger and more wild. So we can hang out and whatever. If you have more questions that pop up, I don't want to keep you if you have, you know, I know you have a lot to do. So, but I'll hang out. We have 40 minutes. We still have 15 minutes left on the recording before I'm kicked out. It'll be really exciting when the last week of the semester I finally get longer than 40 minutes to talk to you. For our very last one. Let's have Zoom parties after the semester's over.
So I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I've emailed my advisor a couple times, and he has not responded.
Who's your advisor?
Dr. Putnam.
I mean, he might be on vacation. A lot of them go on vacation or travel right now.
Do they?
Also, AERA proposals are due. So a lot of them are. That's like.
Okay.
Usually everybody kind of hides that week.
So I sort of went on my own with my logic model. So I don't know if I've refined it enough yet.
You'll find out.
So Well, is that something that you and I can talk about later too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
At what point would that be a good time for you?
Oh yeah, just send me an
Two
email.
times. That's nothing, man.
I know. 2 times. I know.
Keep trying.
Well, I
Yeah.
called him. I left him a voicemail too.
Oh, they don't even know how to use their voicemail. They don't get it. They don't get their voicemails. Don't do that. Just email them. Keep emailing
Okay.
them. Yeah, so we can meet, or you can wait to see what your classmates say, and then if you want more feedback after that, you can do that too. It's totally up to you.
Okay.
I would encourage sending more emails to Ralph. So.
I realized yesterday my out of office was still on from when I was in East Lansing.
Good.
Yeah.
And you're like, sweet, I've been leaving it on indefinitely. This is awesome. I'm
Yeah.
emails. Was it your voicemail or your email?
My voicemail.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody left me voicemail.
Nobody leaves messages, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Nobody even checks that stuff anymore.
People who leave voicemails really bug me.
You're welcome, Will.
Especially when they're super long and they only need to be like 2 sentences.
Yep. I had this professor for my intro programming class my freshman year of college, and this was 1995. Not everybody had email, but he refused to communicate any other way. He was like, this is the future, and it's the most civilized way to communicate is via email. Do not call me on the phone. I mean, I guess he was a computer science professor, so he could get away with such things. But yeah, he had taken out their house phone in 1995.
Huh.
Wow.
I know. I don't know what would happen if his house got burglarized, or I guess caught on fire. He wouldn't be in the house anyway, calling the police. But I don't know. He was tough.
All right, guys, I'm gonna roll out. See you soon.
What, you're leaving with all this great conversation?
You just reminded me of all the emails I gotta get at. So
Put on your out of office reply.
yeah, right. Can't get away with it anymore.
All right, bye, Will.
Hang in there, guys.
Bye, Will.
I will.
See you later.
Do you guys want to see the view out my window?
Yes.
You'll be kind of jealous. Maybe. Hang on.
Jealous.
Let me see if I can do this. Ah, hang on. Did I lose you? No?
Nope, we're still here. Look at your view.
Wow.
Girl, I am jealous.
I've got the lake over there. And that building right there is our information commons. And when the blinds are up, you can see right through it.
That's so cool.
So, yeah, pretty cool. Sometimes we just stare out the window all day.
I would too.
So can anybody? Oh,
Go ahead.
Can anybody tell me what the easiest way to get music into iMovie?
If it's in your iTunes, it will. You can pull it over from iTunes.
Okay.
You just click on the song and then drag it to your iMovie.
Okay. I have stuff in there, but not the stuff I want. So.
Yeah. Are you working on your iPad or on your computer?
On my computer.
Yeah. So you don't even need it in iTunes. You can just drag it over from wherever it is.
Okay.
You can, if it's on your computer, you can just go to File, Import, I think, and just click on the music file you want to work with.
There are multiple easy ways.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's lots of free music out there, so.
Can we copy scenes from movies without infringing on copyright laws?
Oh boy, that's a can of worms.
If it's a short scene.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with length, but it has to do with your purposes for why you're using it. So,
for this purpose.
Since it's educational, you're probably fine.
Okay.
But there's actually a much longer answer to that. But if you want to just have the short answer, which is like, I'm 99% sure you'll be safe.
Okay. And what happens if the 1% comes true?
You just might end up with a takedown notice from like the copyright holder. And sometimes they're not even right about that, so.
Yeah. Well, then that's not a big deal.
Maybe I'll send all of you the best practices and fair use document. It's really long, but it's worth a look.
I'm on our university's copyright committee. It's not fun. So.
Yeah, it is really complicated because there's because it's like a reasonable person test for all these things. So,
and there's no right or wrong answer. It's a lot of gray.
It's really like you have to reason through the logic of the copyright law in terms of what your rights are as a copyright holder and as a person who's using the copyrighted material. You also have rights. So
there we go.
Matt put it in the chat window. So that link that Matt put in is to YouTube removals, which YouTube has their own guidelines that are more strict than copyright. So just that's something to be aware of.
But I mean, the factors are basically right. So
yes, I'm just trying to like make sure that they know. So. The Internet Defense League, nice. Any other questions? I guess not.
This week seems pretty clear.
Yeah, this week seems a little easier. We have 3 minutes left, so.
And I haven't gotten far enough in to know if something is unclear. So.
Well, you guys can always email me, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll be back online on Thursday, and you can always pop in there, or you know, I leave myself, you know, logged into Google Chat. Although sometimes I walk away and forget to log out, and like my phone's logged in and my iPad's logged in and 3 computers are logged in. So if I don't respond right away, it's not personal. It's just I forgot to log out. So you can always chat me, whatever.
All right, everyone. I'm going to say goodbye before we get kicked out.
Less than a minute. Oh.
Maybe see you Thursday.
Bye,
or
Matt.
you guys probably won't be here. Maybe the other people will. But bye-bye. Have a good week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.